single year. So it happens all the time. Now, as we saw from our money management program, we know that trading multiple markets allows us to reduce our drawdown and increase our net profit. So what it's doing is it's smoothing our equity curve and just providing that hedge that we need against, you know, a potentially a bad run in the market, where a system is always going to, you know, go through a quiet period. It's like the seasons, as we've said before. You're not going to be harvesting all year round, and we're just going to make sure that the markets we're looking at have got the potential to be running hot at different times. So that's why it's going to be great to have the list of, you know, what's hot at the moment and just tracking that, because that'll help us stay kind of ahead of the game in relation to volatility. I mean, the big ones at the moment are silver, soybeans, corn, sugar. The commodities are really doing well. Crude oil, and they're just flying at the moment. So they're markets that we need to always be aware of and have some familiar look at them, or at least be able to identify that they're out there and they're potentially tradable for us with our strategy. So one thing we need to do is avoid over optimizing. And again, once you get your data set, now what I've found works really well and what doesn't work well is that if you pick a strategy, or you test one of our strategies and look at one of our strategies, you'll see that they're very, very simple. Now, what works well is keeping your strategy as simple as possible. Now, what doesn't work well is having a complex strategy and then trying to make it, trying to over-optimize it, or trading it for a couple of days. Then you realise, right, it's had a week of losers or a couple of losers. Then you go back, change your settings, then trade again with the new settings. That's what we talk about over-optimizing. Once you get your parameters and your trade settings, and they work over, say, a period of, say, 3 to 6 months, and in that 3 to 6 months you've got a market, you've got a strong uptrend, strong downtrend, and you've got a period where the market's been flat, then you've pretty much covered the 3 types of markets that you're going to get. So the market can only do one of 3 things. Now, if your strategy has worked during that period, then you've got a good starting base moving forward. What the key then is to the way to avoid just being getting a strategy that doesn't work moving forward, is that, or doesn't work when the conditions change slightly, is that you have another system or strategy that runs counter to what you're trading. So, for example, and we spoke about it last night, if you're a trend trader, you love taking the breakout trades, or you're a trend trader, then counter to that is basically perhaps trading the counter trend strategy, or some type of pattern that sets up against the initial trend, where you can potentially capture moves that run out of steam, or where the trend starts to weaken, and that combination of strategies really works well for hedging and for getting the most out of your trade. So and I'm seeing it every night on the DAX with the stuff that we've put together there. We've got a counter trend strategy and a trending strategy, and they're just working really well. We've kind of adjusted the time, or the tick charts, so they run at different speeds. So the counter trend runs at a 55, much quicker. The trend trading strategy runs at a 202, so it's slower to get into the trade. So it just means that we're not getting into the trends as quickly as, for example, we would do if we had it down at around about, say, a 144 or an 89. But The counter trend trades, when they set up, we're straight into those. It locks in profit quickly, so it's taking money out of the market, and that's why we what we want to think about. We want to think about combining strategies, and that's the concept of the multi-system. But forward testing and back testing, obviously, we want to, if you grab one of ours or do your own strategy, then the idea there is that we want to come up with some settings that are robust, that we can trade, we can track moving forward. So if they're, for example, if you're happy with your settings, then the next step is to forward test them and just track those trades every day, making sure that your strategy is working in real time. And if you find that the back testing looked really good and the forward testing is terrible, well, then there needs to be some investigation as to why that's happened. So, why is it that suddenly it looked good in the testing and now, in the live market it's not working, or, in at least the simulated live account it's just crashed and burned. So it could be things like volatility, slippage, brokerage. There's things you need to include in your testing, and a lot of people optimize without doing any of that stuff. So you want to definitely make sure that you include those. Performance assessments. I'm going to put together a performance assessment for the strategy. So looking at the performance summary of each of the strategies we're running, equity curve, obviously our drawdown, which is some of the stuff we've discussed in the money management program, your return on investment, and Sharpe ratio. So all of these things will be part of our performance assessment for our strategy. And the reason why we're going to do that is because we want to make sure that that when we're moving forward and we're basically looking at the concepts, or looking at how our system is trading and performing against other strategies and as a collective, then we want to have measurables that we can test against and measure up on. So it's really about making sure that we also keep a check on how those strategies are performing. So I'll put together a performance assessment that we'll run with, and I'll do a little bit of training on that as well. The system improvements, as I said before, once you've gone through and you're happy with your strategy, it's tested up well in real time, then, or in back testing and it's going well in real time, then this is where we're at with our strategy. It's how can we improve what we've already got. So we've spent a fair bit of time and energy developing this up, and we're already wanting to improve it. So you've got to be a little bit careful. You don't want to, we're not trying to create something that's indestructible, but we're trying to create the best thing we can in relation to our concept of combining strategies. So do we look at, and one of the things you've got to be very careful of is trying to grab indicators that are going to put in trades that you previously missed, because one of the things that you don't want to do is add an indicator that gets you into trades that you think you should have got into, but then it gets you into losing trades as well. So as I said, we need to keep it very, very simple. That's the goal. That's the key. You'll see probably of the strategies we've got, only one of them is really has got probably about 4 or 5 different filters. The rest have probably 2 or 1. So they're very, very basic strategies. But they, not basic. They're simple in their kind of execution. So risk management and money management. This is where the value is. We know that the position sizing and money management is where the key to getting the most out of your strategy. Once you get your delta working and you get that profit in your account, then the money management, and this is what we're going to do as well. We'll develop up strategies for obviously having a handbrake that we talked about in our money management program, and we can share those ideas as we go through. So some good stuff ahead there. Troubleshooting. So this is where we try to identify problems, issues with our our strategies. So making sure that we journal that information. So what I'm going to do is, for the mastermind group, which starts on the 11th of May, so it's a couple of weeks away, but I wanted to do the presentation tonight to you. So if you want to be involved in that, you've got a chance to send Mike your customer number, nominate which strategy you want to have a look at. I'll also send some information out in relation to the training manual, so you can have a look at some of the videos and see what kind of suits your style and personality. So troubleshooting, just making sure as we go through that we identify any bugs or things that are potentially not going as they should do. And then the system implementation, that's just about flicking the switch and having it running in automation. Initially that would be simulation to make sure that the trades are setting up as they should. So the goal for this group is to most of us are already busy and trading, so the goal is to not to add more pressure and that to our existing trading, but try to get to a point where we're able to simplify things a little and take advantage of the leverage that automation and strategy development can provide us. So as we go along, we'll have obviously assessment points, and that's really kind of what I wanted to do today in relation to taking you through the process of what I went through, or what you could potentially use as a guideline or a template to go through and develop up your strategy. Just on the way I tackled the concept, I was really looking at a number of systems for a while, and I thought that one of the things that was sadly lacking was the reward to risk, and also the ability to be able to combine strategies. And for a long time, I'd been trading with some of the NetPix systems, and I found one of them was really good. It was called the Simple 2. Chris probably remembers it. It was a great strategy for picking up the trend, and it did a really good job, particularly on the DAX, of picking up nice trend trades. But what it didn't do, it didn't allow us to lock in profit or trade against the trend when the market moves. So you'd be sitting there watching this 610 tick away, and if you've ever watched the 610 tick chart, it's a slow mover, plenty of time, but you generally tend to get good size retracements on your profit trades. So what I thought was, well, I did do a little bit of work on setting up a counter trend strategy to work with that, but decided that I may as well develop my own strategy, and that was the kind of the starting point for putting these strategies together. And the whole idea is so that each of the systems fits with another strategy and is able to offset another strategy. So the key when you're thinking about putting or looking at a system is how can you use that system, or what could you use with that system to improve your net profit. And from the work we've done as a collective group in the money management, we know the key is having a combination of strategies or markets trading, and that's really where the value is. And if you've read any of the stuff from Van Tharp and a few of the other authors that are out there that talk about system development, they talk about one of the keys to performance is being able to diversify and add multiple strategies, multiple markets. So you can do it very simply. Like if you're new to all of this and you're just starting out, it's all about just learning one system at a time. You just learn one strategy, you master that strategy, and the trend trader is the easiest one because it is very simple. You just learn and master that, and then once you've got that better down, then it's all about, okay, I've mastered this strategy. I like trading it on. It might be crude, or it might